Today we're going to talk about the 7 definitive signs that your ex-boyfriend still loves you. If you stick around to the end of this video, I'm going to show you one secret sign that everyone often overlooks, but may just be the essential thing to look at to determine if your ex still loves you. But first, let me ask you a quick question. What are the chances of your ex actually taking you back? Do they even want you back? Well, luckily I've put together a special quiz on my website. Simply look in the description link below and click on the link you see there. It takes only about 2 minutes to do, and it will ask you a bunch of questions about you, your ex, and your previous relationship. And then based on a lot of different factors, we're gonna take your answers and run them through an advanced algorithm, and it's gonna spit out a score range for you to determine what kind of chance you have of getting your ex back. So you can determine if this is a process that you're even interested in pursuing. Alrighty, let's move on and talk about the 7 definitive signs that your ex-boyfriend still loves you. Sign number 1, your ex-boyfriend goes hot and cold. Breakups are often accompanied by many different swings in emotion. One minute you can be talking to your ex-boyfriend and he can be extremely interested in what you're talking about, and then the next minute he could simply disappear. Then of course there are those cases where your ex actually asks you out on a date and then right before the date is due, stands you up. This is hot and cold behavior. Essentially, it's where your ex does something to make you think that they're still in love with you, and then they do something to make you think that they're not in love with you anymore. Mixed signals, rubber banding, there's a lot of terms that describe this behavior, but interestingly enough, I have found that it's also very common with exes who are still thinking about loving you. Now, what you're looking for here isn't the mere fact that your ex is acting hot or cold, it's the consistency in which they're acting hot and cold. If they're doing this 4 to 5 times, it's a good sign that they're having a really tough internal struggle on whether to be with you or not. The greater the struggle, the more likely they are to still be in love with you. Sign number 2, eye contact. Specifically, prolonged eye contact. If you're out on a date with your ex and they just cannot stop looking at your eyes, it tends to be a really good sign. But I've also found that the inverse is true. Sometimes you can be out on a date or just out hanging out with an ex and they can't look in your eyes. They do these quick little looks and then look away. That can also be a really good sign. Now, often when you hear from exes who do this and you're asking them for an explanation for why they keep looking at you for too long or why they can't even look at you, they won't really have a legitimate explanation. They can't really explain what's going on. It's as if some unseen force has grabbed their face and forced them to look at you. They can't stop looking at you. They can't describe it. And it's also a really good sign. Sign number 3, your ex-boyfriend brings up throwaway details in conversations. One really interesting thing that I've noticed is the fact that when you're really interested in what someone has to say, you hyper-focus on every single word. This is especially true if you're still in love with someone. You focus on every single word and thing that they say, almost to a fault. What we're looking for with this sign is an ex who's bringing up seemingly unimportant details back into a conversation. Often you'll find that this is happening when your ex is talking to you and they bring something up that you didn't even realize that they were listening in on. It's a good sign that they're hyper-focusing on everything that you're saying. So I'll give you a quick example. Let's say that out of all the conversations that you've ever had with your ex-boyfriend, you've mentioned your favorite book exactly 1 time. And if you were a betting person, you would bet that your ex would not even remember what it was. And then one day while you're having a conversation with your ex, he happens to bring up your favorite book. You're floored because you couldn't even think that he would remember something as seemingly insignificant as that, but he did. And that's a really good sign that he is hyper-focusing on everything that you're saying, even in the past. Sign number 4, your ex has long and meaningful conversations with you consistently. When it comes to measuring conversations with anyone that you talk to, there are 3 main factors that I want you to keep in mind. The length of the conversation, how consistent the conversation is, and the topic of the conversation. Now, typically speaking, not all conversations are created equally. I'll give you an example. Let's say that you're having a conversation with your boss about work. What would the length, topic, and consistency look like? Chances are it would be completely different than a conversation that you would be having with a lover. The length in the topic and the consistency would be so much greater and so much more in depth with someone that you're in love with as opposed to a work colleague. So I want you to perform this quick test on your ex. Look at the last few conversations that you had. How long have they been? Have you had consistent conversations with them? What have the topics been over? You're looking for long, consistent, and meaningful conversations. Not conversations about the weather, conversations not necessarily about how you feel, but what's going on in your lives. Something meaningful and interesting. If you're finding that your ex is opening up to you in a really easy way, it's also a really good sign. Sign number 5, your ex-boyfriend will future pace you. If you've gotten into any of my stuff, you will have definitely heard me use the word future pace before. But what does it mean? Usually it means that if an ex-boyfriend is still in love with you, they're going to do something to pretend or picture a future together with you. It sounds kind of weird, but think of it like this. Let's say that you have always wanted to go on a hot air balloon. It's been your life's dream. So one day while you're having a conversation with your ex-boyfriend, you're broken up, right? You're thinking, they're not in love with me anymore. Well, one day your ex-boyfriend makes the mention of, hey, I was driving and I saw a hot air balloon. And you, of course, are very interested in anything having to do with a hot air balloon, so you say, oh wow, I really wish I could go someday. To which he says, oh, don't worry, we will. Now, why do you think that's important? Well, it's important because your ex-boyfriend is actively imagining a future in which you guys are doing something together. It's a good sign that he may still be in love with you. Sign number 6, your ex-boyfriend is okay with yucky behavior. This one is going to be the black sheep of the list, but it's something that I have seen a lot in exes who are still in love with their ex-significant others. I think we can all agree that not brushing your teeth is a pretty yucky behavior, especially when it comes to kissing someone. The last thing that you typically want to do is kiss someone who hasn't brushed their teeth. But what if you didn't brush your teeth and you kissed your ex and he was okay with it? I think we could agree that is a yucky behavior. But if your ex is okay with kissing you and you haven't brushed your teeth, weirdly enough, it's a good sign. It's a sign that they're okay with some of your shortcomings and that they're willing to overlook even disgusting behavior because they feel so strongly for you. Again, I realize that this is kind of a black sheep and it is also a little bit hard to tell, but it is something that I have seen pretty consistently. Sign number 7, your ex is obsessed with your quirks. Now, I feel the need to explain what I mean by quirk. Most often, quirks are things that you do not find attractive about yourself, but other people do. I'll give you an example, real life example. My wife is really embarrassed about her teeth, but for some reason, I think her teeth are perfect. Another thing that she's embarrassed about is her laugh, but I focus on her laugh, and that's actually one of the most favorite parts that I love about her. These are quirks that she thinks is unattractive about herself, but I can't get enough of. Here's the thing. If you feel that you have quirks and your ex has made some comment about something that you found unattractive about yourself, that you kind of feel like you've got a shortcoming with, but they love it, it's a really, really good sign that they could still be in love with you, or at least that they really are thinking a lot about you. I'll see you guys next time.